Do you sometimes find the Bible hard to understand?
Uh-huh. But when I'm 6, I won't.
Some of us have a little trouble understanding all of it, even when we're older than 6. But did you know that God has given us many things to look at which help us to understand His Word?
Like what?
Well, for one thing, the resurrection, coming alive again in a new body, much lovelier and finer than the one we're in now.
But I like the way I am.
That's funny. That's exactly what Steve said to himself on the day he had the strangest adventure ever. He was walking along the sidewalk talking to himself.
I like the way I am. It's silly to think there's any better way.
Is that so?
Huh? Who said that?
I did. Look down here, boy, on the ground.
There's nothing down there but a caterpillar.
How do you do?
But how can a caterpillar...
Bend down, look me in the eyes, and I shall tell you a few things about what you say is silly.
What can you tell me? You're just an old caterpillar.
Today.
Huh?
Today I am just a caterpillar. If I were you, I'd say I like the way I am, and that it is silly to think there is any better way. But you see, just as God is going to change you someday into something better, so He is going to change me. Come along and watch.
Steve didn't know how it happened exactly, but suddenly he was only about 3 inches tall, just like the caterpillar. And there they were, walking along through the grass toward the edge of the woods.
Boy, it's a long walk when you're only this big.
You'll get used to it in time. Shall we climb this tree? It's about time for my nap.
Your nap?
In almost no time at all, Steve and the caterpillar were up in the tree. The caterpillar began making something that looked like very fine string. He wound it round and round himself until he had the nicest little bed you ever saw.
Yes, indeed. Very comfortable.
Then he fastened his bed so securely to a small branch of the limb that it couldn't possibly be shaken off.
Good night. When next we meet, I shall be beautiful.
Weeks and weeks passed. The snow came and went. And there sat Steve, watching the caterpillar's bed and saying over and over,
I knew it was silly. Silliest thing I ever heard of. An old caterpillar being changed to something beautiful. Who could do that?
God could.
Who said that?
Up here.
The robin? Did you say something?
I said, God can change things. Look at me. I'm not bad to look at, am I?
No. As a matter of fact, you look pretty dressed up in that red and brown jacket.
Do you know that I was squeezed into the darkest place you ever saw? I didn't have any red and brown jacket either. There I was, crowded into this tiny, dark room.
You mean your egg?
I suppose that's the name you give it. Anyway, one day, in God's time, of course, my tight little room split open, and out hopped yours truly.
Well, that gave Steve a few things to think about. But it wasn't long before he was watching the caterpillar's bed and saying again,
It's silly, this idea of being changed. Who could do a thing like that?
God can.
Who said that?
Down here.
The flower? Did you say something?
I was only a tiny, dried-up brown seed. To look at me, you'd never have thought I'd amount to anything. Then, a little while ago, my skin started getting too tight for me. I got a tingly feeling all inside. Then, I started to push through the ground. And look at me now. I could never have done all that But God could, and God did. I would never say that change is silly.
First the bird, then the flower.
Let me out of here. Let me out of here.
What?
Let me out of here.
Oh, it's a caterpillar. Must be waking up inside his bed. Oh, one end of that bed is opening. Oh, he's coming out. Oh, wait a minute. That isn't a caterpillar. It's a butterfly.
How do you do? Well, there now. That's better. Oh my. Oh my. Look at these. Well, they're wings. They're beautiful. They're mine.
All the colors. Green and blue and gold.
He did it. He did it. He promised and he did it.
Who did it?
God did, remember? I said I'd be changed into something beautiful. God promised that, and he did it. Well, look, I can fly. Goodbye, Steve. No more crawling around on cabbage leaves for me. I've got wings.
Did that really happen?
Well, Steve says it did. But you ought to know that right after the butterfly flew away, Steve woke up to find himself in bed.
It was a dream.
But a very good dream. Because now, when Steve hears about how the Lord Jesus will give a new, beautiful body to all his followers someday, Steve never says, "That's silly." He just looks around for a caterpillar, or a bird, or a flower, or a beautiful butterfly.